The Saintess of Purity must wear black silk for 4 seasons a year, because only in this way can she identify whether there is evil in the hearts of the people around her. Once she meets someone who is pure in her heart, she will perform purification magic to help others repair their bodies. However, when the Saintess's ability to perform purification magic was decoded for me, her pure heart began to become restless. It turned out that I accidentally activated a system. As long as you are locked in the system, you will stimulate the deepest and most primitive impulses in the target's heart. As a gentleman, I refused at first. But this time the enemy of Nak is too beautiful. I'm too strong. You should know that he was just a low-level warrior who died with his hands. And when I saw the arrogant figure of Princess Yogana, I knew that if I didn't take action, I would definitely die. Bella, who was in my team, shouted at me. Xiao Bai, run away. You are a F-level warrior. You don't have to die with me. You didn't even fight. The blood started to flow. The sound of the two of them talking aroused Yogana's attention. The next second, he led the demon army towards me. I heard the other party's words. I'm going to use my head as a kick for the Demon King. I finally activated the charm system. The team has just been formed. The figure of Yogana has come to me. Just when all the demons thought I was going to die on the spot, the system sounded a signal. Kiss completed. Attack power plus 100. Seeing this, Bella was stunned. What kind of strange way of attack is this? Even the demon who came to the scene was stunned on the spot. Princess, what are you doing? He noticed that something was wrong with Yogana. So he immediately pulled away from the distance. At this moment, he couldn't figure it out. Obviously, he wanted to twist the other party's head. I don't know why my body kissed him involuntarily. And I didn't move. Wipe off the residue of the fat feet. Then I shouted at Yogana seriously. For the safety of the innocent people. I'm not afraid of you. Again. Hearing this, the demons were discussing quietly. I heard a while ago that the princess was looking for a little man outside. It's possible that this guy is the little man. The demon commander heard it, and hurried to close the door. Tell them not to question the princess's feelings for the king. And Yogana's face was extremely angry. According to what happened here, he must not be known by the king. So he decided to order the little brother to kill this human. The sound of the horn just fell. I saw a demon waving his axe towards me. I only heard a bang. It took me 2.5 years to build the long sword. But I didn't expect the strength of these demons to be strong. But I found a demon in front of me again. Fortunately, my singing and dancing basic skills are very solid. The body quickly squat down. That's why I dodged the attack. At this moment, I suddenly remembered that I had increased my attack by 100 points. So subconsciously waving the sword towards the other party. Unexpectedly, under the blessing of this force, Jing Yiji used the demon with all his strength to kick the leg. It was incredible to be pulled by this. When did a F-level warrior become so strong? But when I thought the danger was over. But suddenly I found a black shadow behind me. Next, Yogana's long legs appeared on top of my head. The first time I reacted, I crossed my arms and fell. But the strong force still shook the ground. I saw that the queen had suppressed this human under her body. One of the demons was about to end my life. As a result, Yogana used his tail to fly 2 meters straight. He ordered the demons not to do anything. He must teach this human a lesson today. I heard that the demons were excited at the moment. Just wait to see the queen's head hidden by this person as a ball. I only saw Yogana's mouth full of sharp teeth at this moment. It seems to be going to bite me to death. But there was a whistling sound in my ears. The system suddenly reminded me that my defense increased by 50 points. On the other hand, Yogana's eyes were getting more and more confused. He didn't understand that he was a demon. Why do you do this to a human? And the body just doesn't listen to the order. I can't stop at all. The demons on one side of the stage suddenly turned red. The queen should be torturing this human. But why do I feel like something is wrong? Another demon suddenly laughed. If you don't understand, don't laugh. The queen is looking for a breakthrough on him. After Yogana's long 2.5 hits. I just feel that my attributes are enough to fight those demons. So I drew a long sword to fight back. But it was pressed by Yogana on the wall. Seeing this, the demons shouted immediately. The queen really wants to kill him. I shouldn't have that dirty idea. It's just that Yogana still feels that his body is a little strange. But he still tolerated the impulse to shout at me. Only humans dare to fight against us demons. Look at me now, I'll send you to hell. Say it directly and tear my armor to pieces. The demons who saw this scene were completely crazy. They shouted that the queen's move must be a killer. However, what Yogana is thinking at this moment is that this human's abs are too tight. So the body leaned on it involuntarily. Even if I use all my strength to resist. In the end, it's still hard to escape the secret he's hiding. The sword-shaped CPU is completely dead. I thought they seemed to be fighting. Seeing my own attributes improve significantly in a short time, I also took the initiative to attack. Come on, let's make the storm more fierce. The demons on the other side of the book have long been in the abyss. I even feel that this way of fighting is a bit dark. However, at this time, the demon who came back from the hunt just saw this. I only heard the roar. The sword in my hand fell on the ground without a trace. My love, what are you doing? And I received a hint that the demon was attacked. This also caused all my bonus numbers to double. Hearing this, Yogana instantly regained consciousness. King, listen to me. It's not what you think. But the devil has long been angry with a green light all over his body. You damn little idiot. I'm going to kill you today. saying that the devil was coming at me at a rapid pace. The brute force flew me out on the spot. Fortunately, all his attributes have been greatly improved. Otherwise, he would have killed him 100%. Although the demon who did all this was furious. But he still said to Yogana, "Didn't you say there wouldn't be a next time? Why do you have to do this?" Yogana listened and refuted immediately. "Are you right? Who told you to come back so late? I heard that the devil of this year was confused on the spot." Even the demons were speechless. And Yogana is getting more and more angry, while pushing all the responsibilities to the devil. "I've been asking the devil for so long. Did you go to find other foxes?" Seeing his beloved princess angry, the devil quickly explained that he was chasing those fleeing humans. This delayed the time to come back. "And I promise there won't be a next time." The demons saw the situation and blamed themselves. Our king can bow his head like this. No wonder he can marry a female demon like the princess. However, in the middle of the conversation, the devil suddenly seemed to have found something. So he cursed at the little brothers. "Are you stupid fools? People are running out of shadow. Don't you know to stop?" Only to see one of the little brothers was embarrassed to respond. "King, don't be angry. The princess ordered us not to intervene." Seeing this, the devil had to do it himself. He blinked and shouted in front of me, "You human smashed. I'll send you to the West Heaven to see the Buddha today." I said it, and the giant sword hit me hard. As my body hit the ground fiercely, I can clearly feel that my ribs were broken several times. And with my current strength, I'm not his opponent at all. At that moment, the giant sword of the devil came to me again. He wanted me to try to seduce his beloved princess. The attack was about to fall. I immediately locked the system in my mind. The next second, I saw Yud give the devil a slap. "I don't allow you to hurt him." The devil was full of disbelief. Then I started to ask Yud why. Unexpectedly, Yud didn't take it seriously. Instead, he gathered his eyes on me and said, "I really want to get this human body." I didn't hesitate at all and threw it at me. The devil grabbed his hand in a hurry. "What are you talking about?" But the hand that was grabbed was thrown away by Yud. He saw his beloved princess throw that person to the ground. The devil's heart was broken into 8 pieces on the spot. But he still apologized to Yud with a self-blaming tone. "My beloved princess, it's all my fault. That's why I let this human get in the way." However, Yud was furious and replied, "Get out of here. Don't bother us." Hearing this, the devil was completely in a state of collapse. Although Yug knew that it didn't seem right to do this. But now there's only one thought in his mind. That is to wipe out this man. I feel like I'm angry with the devil. After a long laugh for 2 days, he couldn't hold back the anger in his heart and shouted out, "I'm going to kill you too today." But when he saw Yug's face full of disdain, the weapon in his hand could no longer move forward. As a result, the next second, Yug turned around without hesitation, continued to begin to bleed. At this moment, the devil made a desperate cry. God, I still love him. Because the devil's heart was broken. The hand holding the weapon could only fall helplessly to the ground. At this time, he just wanted to end all this in a self-explosive way. The demons were stunned. You should know that once the devil's strength is exposed, the creatures within 100 meters of the square will turn into chicken powder. And the noise made by Yug regained his mind. "King, what are you doing?" But just before this, the system suddenly reminded me that my level was level 10. And the skills were also unlocked. Just listen to the click. The sword in my hand cut the devil's head in an instant. It turns out that the skill is called Shun Shin Jai. It can give a fatal blow to enemies within 5 meters. The devil who lost his head fell in front of him. Yug was scared straight away. But he didn't feel sad. On the contrary, he said it with disgust. "I didn't see him react so much last time. Shouldn't it be calmer the second time?" It seems that he is really a weak guy in his heart. But he didn't want to say this. He also threw the dead devil to the ground. Then he hugged Yug tightly. "My love, since you don't keep your promise, then please die with me." Yug was struggling and shouting, "Let me go. I don't want to die with you." As the devil's body flashed a cold light again, Yug, who was still cold, was pulled out directly. In a second, the violent explosion spread quickly around. I don't know how long it took. When I woke up, I found myself in a strange environment. And according to the remaining memories at that time, I seemed to have fallen into the bottom of the underground city with them. At this time, I suddenly found a little purple lizard lying on my chest. On the red panel, I learned that he was the physical spirit of the demon Yug. But he didn't wait for me to observe carefully. He ran straight to my pocket. Then the system popped out of the window again. The prompt has successfully eliminated the devil Barrett. And get the reward of those underground city maps. Because Bella is on top of her head. I just feel that this acceptance button seems to be a little scary. Finally, after a few minutes of suffering, Bella also regained consciousness. While Bella was self-defeating, I decided to press the acceptance button. I saw that the map contained the appearance of the entire underground city. And all kinds of dead ends and traps. The resources are all marked clearly. I also shouted out loud right away. After all, with this, I can perfectly avoid those rooms with monsters. I don't have to worry about the road anymore. But in the next second, my heart suddenly jumped. Then a lot of purple blood came out of my mouth. And my little finger started to melt at this moment. Seeing me keep turning over because of the pain on the ground, Bella also immediately held me in her arms and comforted me. As time went by, the melted finger finally stopped. Then, in the face of Bella's questioning of the reason for the melting of the finger, I also explained to myself in a sentimental way that this is important. It turned out that half a year ago, I accidentally ran into monsters fighting a warrior. Their goal seems to be the box in the warrior's hand. However, in the process of fighting, the box was cut by the monster into a crack. I was shocked by the air waves generated by the battle and fell into the abyss. But as the black liquid in the box flowed out, the sky suddenly turned blood red. And it dropped a disgusting smell of blood. Whether it was the warrior or the moment when the monsters came into contact with the blood, the body began to melt in a very short time. Because I was in the abyss at the time, I was able to save my life. But when I woke up, I was told by the doctor that I had at most 1 more year to live. The next day, I got a system to remind me that the blood of the demon god could be saved. But the premise is that you must find the system to become a player in order to get the hint of the blood of the demon god. So this is also the reason why I can enter the underground city as a level 2 warrior. The purpose is to get the blood of the demon god and live on. At the same time, the main force of the fugitives was in the corridor of the underground city. I only heard a click. The members who guarded accidentally stepped on the mechanism on the ground. The sudden beam of light pierced him in the heart. The captain, Sirius, said without a sound. As usual, the guy with the lowest level came out to lead the way. He said that a gunpowder was pushed out. Although the fear of death made him unable to stand still, but thanks to the power of Sirius, he still bit his foot. As a result, the next second, the beam of light pierced through his head. The people who saw this scene were stunned. They just felt that the mechanism here was too perverted. But suddenly, a sound of voice attracted their attention. Seeing this familiar face, Sirius stood still. The members who wanted to run away should have died. Could it be that this guy is a fugitive team? Thinking of this, he asked fiercely, "Why is this guy still alive?" And I was in a state of confusion. But thinking back to the day before the expedition, he once forced me to ask why I knew the color of his wife's underwear. I told him the truth at that time. I said that I had the ability to perceive color through testing. But he didn't believe me. Instead, he made me have to make it clear the relationship with his wife Xiuqing. In order to prove my innocence, I also took a group of men to cover up my training success on the spot. Seeing that I accurately said that they were wearing different kinds of patterns, this solved the contradiction. But from now on, he still doesn't seem to believe what I said at the time. Soon, the fact verified my guess. Seeing Sirius waving his hand, he ordered me to go to him as the leader of the fugitive team. Bella told me to hurry up and persuade me not to act rashly. But what they didn't know was that there was already a precise location for these traps in my mind. I came to the leader in less than a moment. After all this, everyone felt proud. Calling this guy must be some kind of dog shit. He will avoid all the traps. But when he heard that this was my training result, he immediately put the sword on my neck and said, "Since that's the case, then you'll lead the rest of the way, okay?" Not long after, under my leadership, everyone perfectly avoided all the traps and came to the same place. Because the top of the stone is the last trap, I also pointed to the front and said that if I go further, I should be almost in the master's room. After hearing that, Sirius quickly swiped around. Thinking that since everyone has arrived here successfully, then this kid should pay the price for his wife's behavior. So no matter if he's lucky or not, he has to die here today. You know, the F-level warrior was killed by the fallen lion in the underground city. This thing won't even get to his head. But just at the moment when the cutting machine hit the stone, a tail suddenly came out of the stone. Not waiting for Sirius to react, the sudden tail hit him and flew out. Then a scorpion monster appeared behind everyone. However, I was isolated on the other side because of the fallen stone. I just found out that the way back to the god was blocked. Suddenly there was a sound behind me. Why is there a disgusting human here? When I looked at the source of the sound, I found that it was only dark all day. As a result, in the next second, a hedgehog came up to me quickly in the dark. But I was glad that I avoided this sneak attack. Then a scorpion monster appeared on top of me. After avoiding each other's multiple attacks in a row, I screamed out loud. Try my 3200 attack power fist. Just the sound of the sky. This scorpion monster was killed by that terrible force in an instant. Just when I thought the danger was over, there was a sound in the dark again. I didn't expect my scorpion puppet to be broken by your fist. I wanted to use it to twist your head. It seems that I have to do it myself. Following the sound of the words, a figure slowly appeared in the dark. According to the system, the problem is that this time the enemy is Sardine, but I still responded without mercy. The last person who wanted my head has now become my pet. After the rumor, Sardine laughed. In his opinion, it's easy to deal with those people outside. As for the human in front of me, I don't even need to use my hands. When I think of this, he slowly raised his jade. When I saw the other party's long hair, I kept my nose bleeding and shouted at him. I am the hero who protects humans. You can use whatever means you have. During the conversation, Sardine's attack has arrived. I couldn't react in time, so I was locked by him on the spot. Then he forced me to kneel on the ground and said, "You can come here." It has exceeded 90% of the heroes. When I turned on the system, my mouth was going to bite his jade. Sardine, who reacted, suddenly screamed, "How dare you do this to me?" At the same time, everyone is like a scorpion in front of this scorpion. After all, he is a blow to the captain. But the archers in the team are still ready to fight quickly. But even if the arrow falls on the enemy accurately, it can't do a little harm to him. The attack just now did not work. When he came back, Sirius was just ready to order the whole team to attack. The hero named Teal was very excited. "Everyone, look at the face of that monster. It must be that our attack worked." and Bella gathered her eyes behind the scorpion monster. The guy in the dark won't be knocked out by the stone. So Teal, who rushed aside, said, "You cover me? I'm going to get the little white out of the ruins." Shoba rushed out in a flash. The scorpion monster is about to attack Bella. Teal is also the first to see the enemy. And at that moment, I finally got rid of Sardine's shackles. On the other hand, Sardine looked at his feet. I want to make this shameless man pay for it. Maybe I'm still that sentence. Let the storm come harder. But because there is no weapon, you can't use skills to stretch. At that moment, I also raised my fist and rushed towards him. But what surprised me was that Sardine not only easily avoided this attack, but also kicked my face with a high leg. However, at the moment of this kick, Sardine suddenly showed a strange expression. I just feel like this face is very comfortable to kick. As I was kicked by a foot, the system suddenly indicated that his vibration value was 54%. And at that moment, Sardine was in a daze. He didn't understand why he had that strange idea. But when he thought about it, he just bit his own foot. He still tolerated the vibration and launched the puppetry. I'm going to use the scorpion to end this strange battle. Because there is a sensitive data contributed by Yog. This level of attack can't threaten me yet. This side just used magic to cut off the scorpion. I saw a long leg coming straight at me. It was too late to react. I was locked by him again. Successfully pressed me on the wall. I can only see Sardine excitedly saying, "I won't let you escape this time." I decided to use my feet to slowly strangle you. And I quickly found a way to deal with it. I didn't hesitate at all and grabbed his thigh. This impulsive move also made Sardine scream. He, who was angry, used the puppetry to attack me. "Don't use your disgusting hand to touch my head." Seeing that I have been firmly bound by the tailbone, Sardine slowly lifted his feet. I think I can finally teach this human a lesson. When he stepped on my face with his feet, a sense of comfort that I have never experienced suddenly came to his heart. Even the thought of stepping on this human body came to my mind. At the same time, Teal was still fighting against Scorpion Beast to buy time for Bella. But he didn't wait for Bella to arrive at the ruins. Scorpion Beast's tail suddenly hit him. I only heard a bang. Bella, who took this blow, hit the back of Sirius. And on the other side, I was asking Sardine not to step on it. As a result, he didn't hesitate at all and stepped on it. On the other hand, Teal was suddenly excited. "Everyone, look." The beast with so much damage began to stand still. Seeing Scorpion Beast with both legs at the same time, the body is also constantly moving. Sirius saw the evil sister's smile. Thinking about the beast in this state, he had enough confidence to defeat the other party. So he immediately launched a skill to kill the body. The fact is just as he thought. The scout drove Scorpion Beast out. Seeing this, everyone was excited. They shouted that Sirius was too strong. They even thought that as long as the captain was there, they didn't have to be afraid of any beast. Hearing this, Sirius's confidence increased. He ordered everyone to retreat. He wanted to kill this beast alone. At this time, Sardine was in a rush. Although he kept telling himself to calm down, his body still wanted to step on it. And in order to get more power, I also shouted, "What other means do you have? Just use it. I won't give in to you." Who would have thought that after saying that, Sardine came straight out of his prison and stuffed it back in. He told me with a face of disgust that he didn't want to hear my disgusting voice. Unknowingly, his action made all my attributes go crazy. As time passed by, Sardine's movement value also reached 98%. This also caused the beast that was about to attack to suddenly stop. And Sirius took the opportunity to use his signature skill, half-moon formation. When he saw the defeated beast, he shouted in a strange voice. Everyone was excited and shouted immediately. "You are indeed the captain. This beast has been beaten by you. It's not light." Sirius laughed after hearing this. He told everyone that this beast was in front of him. It was a completely unexpected attack. Scorpion Beast completely killed Scorpion Beast. The judge, Sardine, was still immersed in his own world. He completely threw the battle of the outside world behind his head. At this time, a voice echoed in his head. "Sardine, why is it so noisy outside?" Sardine, who heard the voice, was shivering with cold sweat. I thought it was over this time. I actually forgot the secret of those adults killing these people. But in his opinion, it's not too late to make up for it now. But what he didn't expect was the same level of oppression as those adults. When he saw it, he couldn't figure it out. Obviously, this person just let himself be caught. Why is it suddenly like a different person? Because he knows that he is no longer his opponent. Sardine only has one thought in his mind. That is to escape from this place as soon as possible. Seeing the other party disappear in the dark, I also gave up the idea of chasing. To know your own purpose is the blood of the demon god. There is no need to waste your energy on this kind of thing. At most, I'll go out of the ruins. Bella came up at the first time to ask for warmth. You can see Teal's unwavering fist in this scene. And Cirrus raised her hand once. Let everyone follow her. She is going to take over the underground city today. After all, in her opinion, if the demon beast of this underground city is not alerted, then the lord here must be a weak chicken. So as long as he successfully completes the single kill, the guild will not only give him a promotion, but even abandon his wife Shioqing to marry Baifume. Not long after, in the lord's room, Sardine was reporting to the lord. He said there was a powerful human outside. I don't know what he did to make the original strength weak. The fighting power instantly soared to an unimaginable level. But the response was one sentence. Sardine, I remember the order I gave you was to guard the door. Don't let any creatures enter this room. Hearing this, Sardine's pupils were enlarged. Not waiting for him to explain, I saw a beam of light pierce through his chest. Those who did this slowly opened their mouths. I don't want to hear any excuses. So you become a match for the blood of the magical god, he said, and threw Sardine into the demon body on the side. Just when Sardine was thinking in his heart that he didn't want to die, the door of the room suddenly exploded at this moment. I heard those questions about who dared to break into his room. Sirius's fearless response. Of course, it can make you feel the courage of fear. The next second, the battle posture was great. You can't do anything without my order. I want to kill this sea-level underground city's boss. So I started the attack without saying a word. But what surprised him was that night, he just lifted his arm gently. As soon as the beam of energy flashed, he shot it out. Sirius, who didn't have time to react, took a big bite. The strong attack hit him hard on the wall. After doing all this, the knight warned himself. The most powerful human is at this level. Sardine, you're such a waste. On the other hand, Sirius is full of indescribable. If it weren't for the S-level dragon scale armor given by his brother, that blow would have killed him. Although I don't understand why the gap between the demons is so big, but he still ordered the whole army to charge. He plans to use these people as cannon fodder to consume the boss's energy. At that time, he took the opportunity to take the victory. After hearing it, he quickly persuaded him to change his tactics. Otherwise, there is a good chance that it will cause a lot of casualties. I'm afraid that Sirius didn't listen. Instead, I wonder if she wants to disobey her captain's order. But when the others started the charge, I focused on the green liquid behind them. Because according to the system's hint, the object is the so-called blood of the demon god. It's also the only antidote that can save my life. But suddenly, I only felt a dangerous breath coming out of my face. All I could see was that it seemed to be casting a spell. In the next second, it shot a light beam that was several times stronger than just now. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. At the first moment, I pulled up Belegantier and dodged this attack. And those who were hit disappeared in the air in an instant. Although Sirius was lucky enough to save her life, when she saw those floating in the air like gods, at that moment, a strong sense of fear suddenly floated to her heart. Now she only has one thought in her mind, which is to get out of here as soon as possible. At that time, someone suddenly grabbed her hand. Captain Sirius, aren't you going to pick the underground city boss alone? Now so many people are dying because of you. You have to be the strongest backing of the team. Hearing this, Sirius shouted immediately. Idiot, the boss is going to shoot the light. If you want to die, don't take me with you. Seeing that I didn't give any response for a long time, she was so angry that she raised her fist in anger. I can't beat the boss. Can I beat a loser like you? As a result, I grabbed the fist in my hand. Then I threw it out behind her without hesitation. At the same time, Sirius's light beam skills were also completed at this moment. Hearing this, Sirius turned a blind eye on the spot. Seeing that I didn't mean to leave here at all, Belegantier also decided to stay to deal with the beast. Facing Belegantier, he said that he stayed to be with Xiao Bai. Sirius explained heartily. I am the first warrior of B level. I came here to eliminate the beast. Sirius felt that these two people didn't care about her. So she raised her hand again to prepare to release the skill. As a result, the broken sword in my hand cut towards her arm in the next second. Sirius, who felt dangerous, quickly retracted her arm. And I took the opportunity to rush towards the demon god's blood pool not far away. Seeing this scene, Sirius finally reacted. The purpose of this guy's stay is not to kill him, but to kill the demon god. While Sirius was distracted, Belegantier also launched an attack with his weapon. But Sirius didn't want Sirius to easily block the attack with her hand. And her other hand began to accumulate skills at this moment. Belegantier shouted quickly. You don't want to shoot Xiao Bai. As the two people used all their strength to block it, Sirius lost balance. This also caused a mistake in the shooting light. But at the moment when I was about to touch the demon god's blood, the formation of guarding the blood pool suddenly started. I only heard the sound of the wind. I was directly blown away by this force. Belegantier said, that's my own formation. As long as I'm still alive, no creature can enter. After hearing the words, I reacted. If you want to drink the demon god's blood, you have to defeat this boss. Suddenly, the weak voice in the stone room caught my attention. Sirius shook her body and said, please, don't let Belegantier know I'm here. Hearing this, Belegantier's eyes widened. Although I don't know why the other party has become so weak, but when I think about it, there is no me without his prediction. I also put a purple mushroom in front of the gap. Sadio was surprised by this. I thought, is this the blue mushroom that restores the demon god's strength? At this moment, Belegantier's scream echoed throughout the room. So I rushed out without looking back. Unexpectedly, at the moment when Sadio cried and ate the blue mushroom, the system reminded the demon god that Sadio had a crush on the player, and reached the weapon unlock condition. At the next moment, there were many blue cards in front of the sword. Because Belegantier was about to be attacked, I also randomly drew a card at that moment. I only heard the sound of the wind. I suddenly had a red long sword in my hand. According to the system, the weapon is called the Blade of Retribution. Although I don't know what's special about this weapon, I still kicked it without hesitation. But what surprised me was that Belegantier seemed to have predicted the next attack. It turned out that his initial goal was me. Belegantier and others were just luring me into his trap. After all, in his eyes, it's as simple as killing an ant if you want to kill this human at close range. However, I used all my strength to swing the weapon. Don't look down on me. I only heard the sound of the wind. Belagantier's palm was directly scratched out of a wound. At first, Belagantier wanted to ridicule my power, but that's all. As a result, in the next second, the clothes on his upper body suddenly exploded. He was very angry. Why is my clothes gone? Seeing this scene, Belagantier was in a state of confusion. Even Tear was shocked. This scene is too shocking. And I kept my nose bleeding as I said, this monster is really big. I'm tired. This monster is really strong. It turns out that the blade of the blade of the blade will make the enemy hit by the blade of the blade. When the enemy loses all his clothes, it will trigger the sword to come and kill the enemy. Of course, this also made that ant promise. You're a down-to-earth guy. I must kill you today. After I heard it, I didn't take it to heart. Instead, I quickly thought of a way to defeat him. Combined with the performance of the previous episode, the palm of his hand can make the clothes on his upper body disappear. That is to say, as long as you use your body to hit his legs, the clothes on his lower body will also turn into muscles. And then hit his mask. It can trigger the killing skill of the blade to kill him. Thinking of this, I attacked Belagantier first. But what surprised me was that he easily dodged the several arrows in a row. Seeing this person keep aiming at his lower body, Belagantier's anger reached its peak at this moment. As soon as he raised his feet and cursed, I've never seen anyone as down-to-earth as you. He didn't even let go of my clothes on my lower body. He said and kicked me on the face. Although the huge pain on my face gave me a heart attack, but I soon reacted. This pain is the pain that melts the body when the poison occurs. It's a total of 18,000 meters away. So I decided to launch the second round of attack. This time, Belagantier is still raising his arm to release the light. I thought this attack was enough to kill me, but I didn't expect the light to be shot out. I dodged it from the side. Just a brush. I've done it with the blade of the blade of the blade. And there's a feeling of hitting the target on the sword. But what surprised me was that Belagantier's tail was the only thing that was cut. And he himself said with a high and low voice, "Smelly boy, if it weren't for my fear of walking, I wouldn't have been able to make a big move. With the skill of your triangle cat, I would have turned you into ashes." But with his words, a beam of light came to the ground. But when I was about to launch the skill, when the body was cut off, the system suddenly sent a hint. It said that the current energy was only enough to launch 6 times. And there's still 10 seconds to cool down. I was so angry in my heart. After a trash skill, I can only choose to take this attack face to face. Fortunately, with the blessing of the blade of the blade of the blade, I also successfully cut off the energy beam of that knight. Look at me, I'm going to attack the boss head on. I don't understand. Just a F-level warrior. Why is there such a strong battle? To know the extent of the battle. Even if he's the B-level warrior, there's no way to intervene. And I'm laughing at that knight. I can break your attack. I can also avoid it. So are you ready to die? The knight after the plague slowly raised his arm. You're right. It's really hard for me to kill you now. But killing the injured woman not far away. For me, it's like killing an ant. Just the moment the beam of light shot out. My body became a virtual shadow at this moment. But even if I cut off the nails of that knight, it's still a step too late. Reflected to me. A boss headed for Bella. That night, the sword struck a laugh in my heart. In his eyes, stupid humans always like to fight for others. That's why the monsters are easy to get rid of. Because at this moment, I only have Bella in my eyes. I didn't notice the threat behind me. In a hurry, I decided to lock the system. Bella launched a smooth cut. The next second, I appeared in front of the two of them. Blocked this green sword. And the residue produced by that gray sword. Even more so, the armor on Bella's body was crushed. Looking back, he was stunned and his face was incredible. Is this still the little white horse I know? And I saw my attack again. That night, I was so angry that I bit my teeth. At this time, the voice of the devil's blood suddenly came from the side. The reaction was a big shout. Oh no. The old woman just stood still. I forgot to add firewood to maintain the temperature of the blood of the devil. You know, once the blood of the devil cools down, at least it takes 100 years to make it boil again. So that night, I started to put a lot of demonic corpses in the devil's blood. Bella, who didn't know the other side, was panting. I just felt a strange tremor in my heart. Then he reached out his hands and grabbed my head. The screen in front of me looked at Teal. But as soon as Bella got close to me, Bella's 8-year-old appearance suddenly appeared in my mind. This also caused me to roll back and forth for 2 years. This operation also restored Bella's mind. She couldn't figure out why she was doing this in the battle. She even stretched out her tongue. Teal, who saw everything in her eyes, comforted herself. Bella must have been poisoned. That's why she did this strange thing. And I put all my attention on those who were not far away. After all, from the other side's performance, it seems to want to burn the blood of the devil completely. But due to the speed of this boss, my attack can hardly cause him substantial damage. In view of this, I pulled Bella's hand. Tell him that he now has a way to defeat the enemy. But the premise is that he needs to take the initiative to cooperate. Bella, who knew the method, looked over his head. Even Teal was angry in his heart. How did this guy do it? Use the expression of a righteous man to say such low-class words. Randomly put in the middle and said you obviously want to take advantage of Bella. At this time, you still think about such a bad thing. As a result, Bella blushed and responded. Xiao Bai, I believe what you said. Although this does make me very embarrassed. But don't get me wrong. I promise you to defeat the devil. After the words, I suddenly showed a cold sweat. The words he once said reappeared in my mind. We are playing Guajejia. I play the mother. You play the father. I will be responsible for you after I kiss you. At this moment, I felt like I was eating a fly. So I didn't hesitate to push him aside. Looked at the screen in front of me. Teal only feels like he has been hit by 10,000 points. After all, the goddess he can't get. Others are still rejected when they can get it. The next second, the system pops up a hint. Level 1 and all values increase by 5,000 points. At the moment, I was relieved. This is also thanks to the existence of Teal, the flying sheep. That's why I avoided touching Bella's body. See me not saying anything to prepare to go to the battlefield. Bella, get up and ask. You really don't need my help. What if you can't beat it now? Even if the system pops up, its vibration value comes to 99%. I still rushed out without hesitation. After all, the memory at that time was too terrible. At the same time, after the inner leaves put all the magic beasts into the body, I found that the distance between the spell and the completion of the closed ring was still a little short. If you don't fix it in time, the temperature of the blood of the demon god will drop soon. Think of it here. He put his mind on the 3 humans over there. Here I was still thinking about how to trigger the vicious skill of the Bowie god sword. I saw the inner leaves spread out and float in the air. Now he has no way to go. All I want is to use my power. Kill this human as a match for the blood of the demon god. The sword hit my left arm. Sure enough, it's huge. But the next second, a huge beam of energy came to me in an instant. Although it was attacked by the Bowie god sword. But the system reminds me that my magic value is running out rapidly. In less than a moment. Just from the original 2,000 points directly down to more than 100 points. I only heard a bang. I also finally forced this beam of energy to disperse. But the system also sent the magic value too low. Can't activate any skills. Seeing me show a panic. However, just before I was desperate, a hand quietly appeared behind me. Then in my poor eyesight, Bella pressed me in her arms and asked, "You obviously need my help, don't you? Don't forget the last sentence. Teal, you are a good person. I've said it before. I already have a name in my heart. That person has been Xiaobai since he was a child. I heard that Teal's shield is like being struck by lightning. Follow the system to detect Teal's heart damage. All my values increased by 27,500 points at this moment. The next second, a huge beam of energy came out of my body, and the terrible momentum that spread out also made the demon god scream. Obviously, this human has no room to fight back. Why would such a powerful force explode? And this wave of energy. Although the wave of energy makes the demon god feel anxious. But in his opinion, no matter how much power the weak humans have increased, in the end, it can't be compared with their demons. However, the demon god's voice just fell. I saw a cold light slip through his body in an instant. Almost at the same time, I've already come to his back after completing the execution. Then the system pops up a hint. Because of the just execution, not only did the demon god's mask disappear, it also left a scar on his face. This also led to the rage. He began to use his power regardless of everything. Just a deafening sound gathered all his power. The beam of light suddenly exploded. Seeing this scene, I didn't dare to panic. Instead, he held the sword. The most primitive execution. That terrible power not only easily cut off the beam of light, even put those heavy things on the ground. I saw that knight directly announce the victory of this battle. I can't wait to come to the side of the demon god's blood. I plan to take the antidote that can save my life. But what I didn't expect is, the rule of protecting the demon god's blood still exists. Seeing this scene, the demon god got up and said, "You low-flow human. If you want to touch the blood of the demon god, unless you step on my body." I was just about to send the demon god to see the king. Suddenly, there was a sound of Teal calling Bella. I looked at it. I only saw that Bella had collapsed and lost consciousness. And according to the system's hint, at this moment, Bella's life value is too low. At the stage of death. Here, those people are ready to welcome their final battle. But I didn't expect my figure to disappear in front of her. The next second, I saw a hand holding Bella. The other hand grabbed Teal's head and ran towards the exit. Don't forget to shout at the system. Open the map. Find the closest route to the exit of the underground city. Those people only feel that this human is too stupid. In order to save his companion, gave up the best opportunity to get the demon god's blood. But he still dragged the injured body to the side of the demon god's blood. Because I can't let the temperature of the demon god's blood continue to drop. That night, I jumped into the demon god's blood without hesitation. Only listen to a holy demon god. That night, I can't serve you in person. His body was covered by the bugs. At this time, I just entered a passage. I was blocked by a huge demon beast. Seeing this, I looked at it. The picture that once appeared in the park gradually appeared in my mind. It turned out that Bella was ugly because of her ugliness. Often laughed at by all the peers. Is an ugly monster. Even Teal at that time also advised me not to get close to him. Otherwise, he would be infected with him. But I was determined to push the weapon away. And said to Bella, "The game yesterday is not over yet. I'll play it this time. Are you here to play, Mom? I'll be responsible for you after kissing you." Thinking of this, I decided to wave the blade of the demon god in my hand. The terrible force directly cut this demon beast in half. After doing this, I shouted at Bella, "You will be fine. I said that I would be responsible for you. I will definitely be responsible for you. But the system suddenly reminded the enemy to eliminate. The weapon has returned to the system, although I don't understand the reason for this. But now the most important thing is to send Bella to the hospital. At the same time, Cirrus also walked out of the underground city under the command of the team. It was when she almost died in the underground city, and when the damage to the dragon scale armor was calculated on my head. The team members found that someone was coming out of the exit quickly. Seeing that the person who came was the one who made himself so embarrassed, Cirrus grabbed the weapon of the team member at the same time and shouted, "You dare to disobey my order? I'm going to get you out of here as a team leader." However, the person who welcomed her was stepped on by a foot. Then my light words came. "I don't have time to talk to you now. What's the matter? Wait for me to finish." I said that I would never go back and continue to run far away. After sending Bella to the hospital successfully, I also let go. So next, it's time to go back to the underground city to get the antidote of the demon god's blood. Unknowingly, in the underground city at this time, with the spell of the demon god's blood completed, a red blood stream rose to the sky. And then there was a veil covered by a red mist. Satyr, who saw everything, was very curious. He didn't understand what those traps were calling for, until a pair of hands slowly opened the mist. A strong sense of fear swept through Satyr's whole body. At this moment, he only felt that there was a far-reaching creature in the mist. At that moment, the red mist in the demon god's blood turned into a human form. And he is the demon god Satos. Satyr, engulfed by fear, only wanted to escape from this place. But what surprised Satyr was, this tiny movement could not escape Satos' eyes at all. He only saw Satos waving his hand. The whole room turned into ruins at this moment. Looking at the man blocking in front of him, Satyr knew that he could not escape. Unexpectedly, Satos did not take action to solve him, but asked Satyr to open his mouth. Under absolute pressure, Satyr had to listen to the words and raised his head. As the demon god's blood slowly flowed into his mouth, Satyr was surprised to find his body actually began to repair itself at this moment. It turns out that Satos' blood can not only repair all injuries, it can also greatly improve the ability of the consumer. Looking at his own work, Satos picked up Satyr's chin and said, "It's getting dark. You go find a clean room and wait for me." Unknown Satyr stared at the red mist. Soon it was night. I came to Bosnia's room again according to my memory. Although I don't understand why there was a corruption here, but I still pretended to have the demon god's blood. However, when I stepped on the stairs, the whole person froze on the spot, because the demon god's blood in front of me had already dried up. I immediately opened the map and began to look for it. You know, that's the only solution that can save my life. And the other side of Satyr was sitting on the bed with anxiety, until a pair of hands climbed on his shoulder. Satyr bowed and begged, "Lord Satos, please don't do this." As a result, Satyr was directly hugged. This move scared Satyr to scream. But soon he noticed something was wrong, because there was something soft behind him, sticking to him. When Satyr took off his clothes and looked behind, a pair of eyes just rolled in, only to see that Satos, who was originally a man, turned into a woman. Satos explained the reason for this, said his heart was sealed in the brave conference. Once it was night, he will lose all his strength and become a weak woman. Let Satyr come to protect his safety. Then he picked up Satyr's chin again, warning him not to betray his dreams, because he drank the demon beast of Satos' blood. Even at night, he can still melt it easily. But suddenly, Satyr found that there was an enemy coming in a hurry. I didn't wait for Satyr to go and find out. I heard Satos telling him, "Don't go beyond 5 kilometers when fighting. Once you go beyond this range, you will be killed by the demon god's blood." At the same time, the system sent a hint. The demon god's blood is still in the underground city that night, and the front is the only place that has not been explored so far. But as soon as I was about to reach the gate, Satyr's long legs came straight to me. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and opened the distance. After discovering that the person was me, Satyr didn't choose to continue attacking, but let me leave here before dawn. But I came straight. "That's great. It seems that you have recovered to be able to fight. How about it? Is the mushroom I gave you delicious?" I heard that Satos, who said this, blushed, and said fiercely, "That's the worst mushroom I've ever eaten in my life. Get out of here. Get out of here as far as you can." But as soon as his words fell, the system indicated that his favorability came to 71%. I pointed at his cheek and asked, "Why are you blushing? Are you lying?" As soon as the next second came, Sadiel, who was angry, kicked me directly. "You're talking nonsense. I don't have any feelings for you." He said. He stepped on my face again. I wanted to step on this person hard to the ground, but I suddenly found that the other party disappeared without a trace, until a message came from behind that I had something important to deal with. Later, he found that this man was no longer attractive, but he didn't wait for me to push the door open to find the blood of the demon god. I saw the guard inside the door take the initiative to open it. Because of inertia, my hand also touched the ground that should not be touched. I quickly took back my phone and explained that I didn't do it on purpose. That's when I thought about why there was a human being here. Satosa looked at me expressionless and reached out his hand. But with a scream, he wanted to retreat into the room. Satosa's eyes were wide open, because he could clearly feel that his heart was in this man's body. Taking advantage of the other party's skill, I pushed this hooligan away with one hand. However, as soon as I touched his arm, the system came out with a hint that he was the blood of the demon god. Although I don't understand how my antidote became a human being, I still subconsciously opened his palm. I didn't hesitate to suck it up in my mouth. However, looking at the hint sent by the system that has not been decrypted, I was stunned on the spot. I didn't understand what was going on. Satosu, who saw through everything, laughed coldly. It's dark that I've become a human being now. There is no poison in the demon god's heart. Just when the two were about to die, Satosu lifted his leg and separated the two. However, what Satosu was thinking at this time was that his heart had become a crystal in this human body. At that time, as long as I forcefully suck it into my body, he can still recover to his former complete state. However, I was blind. The system clearly indicated that he was the blood of the demon god. Could it be that only the liquid on his body can be used to detoxify? Thinking of this, I made up my mind to take the other party back and study it slowly. Suddenly, the ground under my feet burst open. Then I saw a spider demon appear and rush forward. According to the system's hint, the demon was named Boss Kagana. Only listening to Boss Kagana's excitement, Boss Satosu finally appeared. As long as I eat you, you will always belong to me. Facing such a level of demon god, now Satel and Satosu have no resistance at all. But I took the first step and hugged Satosu. Without further ado, I ran away from the ruins. Seeing this scene, Boss Kagana was delighted. Then he chased after me and shouted at me. Humans, don't run away. Give it back to me. Finally, after nearly 2.5 hours of escape, I succeeded in getting Boss Kagana back home. But Satosu had a plan in his mind. So he took the initiative to say, "Brave Lord, I was cursed by a terrible demon beast. If I don't find a man to combine quickly, I will die. So, brave Lord, please save me." After hearing this, I was shocked. I am a righteous warrior. I will never do such a thing. But when I think of this girl being cursed now, my honest heart is a little unbearable. So I hugged her and shouted, "I'm willing to sacrifice myself to save you. Let me bear the pain in my heart alone." But as I looked down, I found something strange on the girl's body. The other party is obviously a human. Why is there a tail? And shouldn't the tail be behind? So what's this thing in front of me? My pupils were shocked for a moment. Then I crawled back and forth for 2 meters. But even when I asked him why he had a weapon, Satosu still said to me, "Brave Lord, you just promised to save me. So you can't go back on your word." At this time, the body of Yuga slipped out of his pocket. Then I saw him transform into a human. The master saved me. I was starving to death. I pushed Satosu away and told the other party that Yuga needed help more now. I can't help but run away from this place. Then I fell into the dust. Satosu, if it's not that woman this time, then there's only one way to meet yourself. I can think of saving her. I have to play with her. My heart is 100 on willingness. At this time, Satosu's figure appeared in the back room. I thought, since this man didn't want to, he had to use some forced methods. So I ran away from behind. Seeing this scene, Satosu complained that if it weren't for my weak body, how could I escape from the palm of your hand 3 or 5 times? But what should come will come. Not long after, I received Satosu's sole question. "You've made a promise to save her. Why don't you wait for Satosu to get ready to attack?" The system window popped up, reminding me to return to the time island, and asking me to run on the street. I even had to wave to 33 people and say hello. The equipment on me disappeared without a trace. Even if Satosu's face turned red, I didn't plan to do this at first. But the system sent me a hint again, saying that if I didn't complete the task, I would be dragged into the backstreet heaven, with a golden door appearing out of nowhere. The muscular man inside is showing off their figure. It's like saying, "Handsome guy, let's play together." I can only accept this task with tears. When I left, I didn't forget to tell you to keep an eye on Satosu. After Yug heard it, his eyes widened. It's really strange to call humans out. The first thing I did on the street was to cover my face with a piece of cloth. Because only in this way can I not be seen by others. Soon I came to the square in the city center. Don't miss it if you pass by. Please take a look over here. But this kind of behavior on the street was immediately regarded as perverted by everyone. However, even if I was chased by a large group of people behind me, I still didn't forget to say hello to the passers-by. After all, compared to a machine gun, this level of damage is not worth mentioning at all. It's only a few seconds away from completing the task. A spider monster suddenly rushed out and hit me. I stopped and tried to solve the problem while doing the task. But the result was a system prompt. All values returned to their original state within the time of weapon return. I was also confused. At the same time, a brave warrior successfully released one of the monsters. But when he reached out to his teammates for the weapon, I took a picture of his palm. This brave warrior did a good job. When the brave warrior was angry, "Are you sick?" What did the warrior say? "And did your pants get hit by the monster?" Due to the dispersion of attention, the monster also took the opportunity to open his mouth. Fortunately, the leader of the security team, Jack, arrived in time and killed the monster. It turned out that his purpose of this trip was to escort Vice President Charlton to the Brave Society. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. I felt that the man was around here. The reacted Jack won the game at the first time. As a result, the attack was easily blocked by Canada. But then he took the initiative to stick his head to Jack. Jack, who didn't have time to react, was swallowed by the giant. When he heard that the guards asked his companion to take Charlton away, he dragged the monster in front of him. Canada looked at me. It seems that the old woman was really underestimated. On the other side, I was still looking for the last person's voice. Until a distant scream attracted my attention. Just when the guard's Canada was close to Charlton, I shouted at the entrance of the alley. The fat man over there looked at me. With the sound of Charlton's subconscious, my weapon finally returned at this moment. At the request of the system, I also randomly drew a card. And the weapon I got this time is called the Silent Finger. It can make the body of the enemy locked up. And the surrounding objects are paralyzed. Once the other party shouts in his heart, the Silent Finger will trigger the Silent Force. The man who took away Charlton was right in front of me. Canada rushed over without hesitation. Fortunately, I successfully avoided the attack and locked it up with the system. I don't know when my hand slipped over the ground. I felt like I was touching Canada's heart. It's like someone was touching his body with his hand. I couldn't help but scream with Canada. The system sent a signal to trigger the Silent Force. I only heard a roar. A heartless shockwave pushed Canada to the ground. Looking at this man's confident smile, Canada, who stood up, came to a conclusion. That is, the other party's hand seems to have some kind of magic. To know that he is clearly touching the ground, but it feels like he has slipped over the body. And as long as you make a sound, you will be attacked by some kind of mysterious force. Thinking of this, Canada decided that no matter what happened next, he would never make any sound. So he released the poison and said, "My body belongs only to Lord Sartos. Everyone else who touched my body had to die." Canada rushed over to me again. On the other hand, I scratched the wall with my hand without hesitation. Because the place where the wall corresponds to this time is under the night, the strong touch made Canada unable to help but scream. Soon, the silent attack came to an end. And Canada quickly covered his mouth. Although I don't know why this attack is more powerful than the previous ones, but I can't help but feel an inexplicable sensation in my heart. Suddenly, his hand touched the bell in front of his chest. This is how Canada regained his mind. So I hit my head hard. "Human, are you ready to die?" Because I know that the other party is going to fight, I didn't dare to be careless at all. I just saw Canada lying on the ground and reaching out his hand to his tail. Then I saw him pull out a weapon from it. Although I feel that the position of his weapon is very strange, but it is not difficult to see through the battle just now. The ground and the wall represent the chest and the night. In other words, his weakness is the elephant and the two buildings behind him. Thinking of this, I didn't hesitate at all and ran away. And Canada's sword hit the back of his neck and screamed. It's too late to think of running away now. So the weapon in my hand was destroyed directly. However, I dodged it with a flash. To know the current me, I have reached a very terrible level. I didn't expect Canada's tail to suddenly shoot a lot of beads. I didn't have time to react, and I was directly fixed on the wall. Soon, Canada put on a victorious attitude and said, "Stupid human, you can't escape now." It was the moment he raised his sword and stabbed me. I finally opened my handcuffs. So I pulled it up on the wall without hesitation. If I didn't guess it wrong, it should be the other person's big head. Obviously, this operation played a role. On the other hand, Canada not only stopped attacking, but also covered his mouth. Even if I accelerated the movement in my hand, Canada still insisted on biting his teeth. Until after 2.5 minutes of suffering, his sense of strangeness disappeared completely. Of course, this also made him understand a way. As long as you don't scream, you won't be attacked. But he suddenly found the target disappearing in front of him. This is a voice that suddenly came from behind. "Now it's my turn to fight back." Canada said, "I figured out how you attack. Since you didn't run away, are you ready to welcome my one-sided suppression?" He said and sealed his mouth with a spider web. I didn't care about this. Because after Canada was locked by the silent finger, this area has become a magnifying glass for his body. As long as I attack his weakness at the designated location, the winner of this battle will definitely be me. As expected, Canada rushed to me first and made up his mind. No matter what the other person does, he won't make a sound. Seeing this, I decided to use a set of smooth little tricks. This also caused Canada's body to tremble uncontrollably. I just feel that this time is stronger than any other time. It's like it's coming out of the inside of the body. But he still forced himself to continue to attack. And I smiled and said, "Let's see how long you can hold out. Try this." With a stronger numbness, Canada, who lost balance, fell backwards. Unknowingly, everything was hidden in the dark. Charlton saw it. The magic of this brave man is too powerful. It can make the beast keep rolling. On the ground. At the same time, Canada recalled that he could only belong to Satoshi. He still began to inject poison into the weapon with his amazing willpower. I planned to end this strange battle as soon as possible. Seeing that the other party rushed towards him regardless of everything, I used the ancestral technique on the spot. There was no difference in treatment for the wall. The familiar numbness made Canada fall on the ground again. So now he can't even make a step forward. In the end, I can only use all my strength to shoot the poison arrow in my hand. As a result, I was pulled away easily by my agility. But what surprised me was that the poison arrow exploded at this moment. Looking at the narrow space occupied by his poison, Canada announced directly that he was the final winner of this battle. As a result, the next second, he was surprised to discover that the figure of that man appeared on the roof at some point. Very soon, my light words came to me. I won't be hit by the same trick a second time. So, are you ready to be punished? So, without further ado, I used my arms to support the wall and fell all the way down. And Canada was stunned as if he were struck by lightning. It was as if something was going to break the limit. As the speed of the descent became slower and slower, Kaneda realized that he seemed to have been unable to support it for too long. Finally, at some point, the spider web that sealed his mouth began to crack. This also caused Kaneda, who had suppressed for a long time, to scream, "Go to hell, Satoshi. I want this human." At this time, the system sent Kaneda a scream of 100. Only the sound of the wind was heard. With Kaneda as the center of the explosion, it spread quickly around. With the smoke dispersed, Kaneda had lost his strength and returned to his body. Due to the end of the battle, the system retrieved the silent god's finger like last time. I quickly walked back to the center of the explosion. I reached out my palm and suggested that Kaneda climb on his hand. It's just that Kaneda's intimate gesture left me in a daze. Very soon, the system sent out a series of hints. It not only contained Kaneda's good sensitivity, but also successfully unlocked the passive skill Conquer, and even obtained his exclusive skill. You can attach the poison to the weapon you have, but you don't have to wait for me to start testing the new ability. A feeling of fear instantly swept over the whole body. Satoshi, who only saw the recovery of his strength, appeared and said, "Human, I finally found you." I didn't have time to react, so I was pushed to the ground. "Hero, you promised to save me before. How could you give up halfway?" I finally realized what I was thinking. This guy is not only the white-haired big sister from last night, but also a powerful demon beast. But I still told him that I was not interested in men. Unexpectedly, after Satoshi heard it, he turned into a beast. He asked me if I was interested in him now. I raised my fist and threw it away. Because no matter what the other party becomes, it's hard to erase the psychological shadow I saw last night. But what surprised me was that Satoshi resolved the attack effortlessly. "Since you don't like cats, I can only use some force means." He said that his mouth was close to my fingers. I was scared to death. If I had kicked him, I wouldn't have been clean since then. But as Satoshi raised his arm gently, I was pushed to the ground by an invisible force. I heard Satoshi say that as long as I obeyed him, he would cut me with the blood of the demon god in my body. I still responded firmly. "Even if my body melts and rots, you can't expect to get my 18 abs. I can't convince the other party." Satoshi's ability to exert himself at the moment plans to take back his heart and system first, and then torture this human. However, when he hit my body, the magic ball in his hand suddenly exploded, and the system refused to return. As well as your ineffective hint to white. Seeing this, Satoshi was directly in the original place. He didn't understand why his system would explode. At this time, the window of the system also appeared in front of me. The hint is whether to spend 50% of your life to get a chance to kill Satoshi. Due to the crisis, I also chose to be sure without hesitation. Soon Satoshi found that the panel showed that he was locked. It was about to trigger Satoshi's hair of destruction, and it would completely absorb him for detoxification. At this moment, Satoshi was in a panic. After all, he never thought that the system would refuse to return. He dared to strike him, but as the former host, Satoshi knew that he had to see the target before he could activate it, so he immediately summoned the red blood mist to cover the vision. As soon as I figured out the direction, he cut his palm at the same time. There was a red curtain behind Satoshi, but even if Satoshi was out of danger, he was still suspicious of what had just happened. Satoshi didn't explain anything, but asked Satoshi to send him to that human tonight. It turned out that Satoshi did this because the system restricted his attack and could not affect me, but he could turn back into a human. He used the system's loophole to make me die, and he, who turned back into a human, could not be locked in the system. However, as soon as he thought that his image had been exposed, Satoshi asked Satel to perform transformation magic to help him replace a new look. In this way, under Satel's general operation, Satoshi, who turned into a blue-haired beauty, launched his plan. On the other hand, I saw the distance between the two on the panel, and I couldn't help but sigh that Satoshi was powerful, and he ran hundreds of kilometers away in an instant. But when I found out that my life was only 50 days left, I made up my mind that I had to find it as soon as possible, otherwise my end would be a dead end. Just as I thought, the poison of the devil's heart in my body attacked again. The strong pain also made my consciousness gradually blurred. Fortunately, all this was seen by Charlton, who was not far away. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. From Charlton's mouth, I learned that I had been in a coma for more than 10 hours, and when I saw the other person's appearance, I seemed to have something to say. I also told him not to hide it. After Charlton heard it, he embarrassedly said that he was a bit of a heartless man in his midlife, but since he saw my technique to subdue Gianna, he came up with the idea of the Baishur school. He said that as long as he learned that kind of magic, he would no longer have to worry about being kicked out by his wife at night. Although his answer made me feel bad, but when I thought that if I became his master, I could use the resources of the Brave Association to find Satoshi. I also reluctantly accepted it. As for whether he can learn the ability given by the system, it is not within my consideration at all. But in order to pretend to be strong, I still told him that if he wanted to learn that magic, he had to practice it with his fingers first. As soon as Charlton heard it, he came to me and said, "Master, please accept my respect." Just between the two of us, Charlton's secretary Des knocked on the door and learned from the file he sent that Sirius reported that I had run away from his orders without listening to his orders in the process of which led to the failure of the mission. Now the Brave Association has issued an arrest warrant. For this, Charlton wanted to solve this problem, but I refused this proposal, and explained that the bosses in the underground city had been beheaded by me. As long as I find someone to investigate, I can prove my innocence. For an F-level warrior to be able to kill the underground city boss, Des didn't believe it at all. Just when he was about to call someone to arrest me, Charlton directly refuted his behavior and asked Des to go back with him to investigate the matter clearly. Before that, I couldn't touch his master's hair. As soon as the two of them left, I called the system to lock Satoshi's location. But even if I searched all the places in the house, there was still no sign of Charlton. In the end, Satoshi came here and kidnapped Charlton. At the same time, in a certain room, Charlton slowly opened his eyes and didn't wait for him to figure out where he was. He heard Satoshi laughing and saying that we were about to be auctioned, and when Charlton learned that he was about to be auctioned, he immediately began to struggle and told the beauty next to him that he had to go back to his master or he might die. Satoshi was curious to ask, as a demon beast, shouldn't the underground city be the right place to go back? As expected, Charlton replied, we are based on a strong bear-like life. My master is very strong, so I have to follow him. The wall in front of the two of them suddenly exploded. Looking at the downed guards losing consciousness, I also let go of my breath. You have to know that the system is the moment when you hit each other and take back all the weapons on your body. However, what surprised me was that the system once again issued a mission to return the weapon. If the target is not born, he will be frozen for 5 minutes. As soon as I picked up the guard, I asked him if he could still speak. Satoshi, who was standing next to me, shouted at me, "This brave man, come and save me." As I knew that this place was far from the city, it would be very dangerous if I didn't recover my strength in time. I immediately released the shackles that bound the wall. Then, without saying a word, I gave him a shot. I don't understand this wall. Master, why are you hitting me? Did I do something wrong? But I didn't understand the wall. But I looked at Satoshi and said, this beauty, in order for us to leave here safely, I need to hit you too. Satoshi looked at me. This guy is really not a good thing. He actually thought of such a ridiculous reason to take advantage of him. But he still raised his arm and responded, brave man, help me untie it. As long as you can save me, you can let me do anything. As a result, Satoshi, who untied the shackles, hugged me directly. Brave man, I'm so scared. They said they would sell me to Goblin. Now the brave man has saved me. I am your person. After I heard it, I slapped him as hard as I could. As a result, I found that the other party not only did not scream, but also laughed. Brave man, can you do it again? Following his words, the system sent a warning that the player would be suspended for 5 minutes. In the eyes of the two people, I just listened and fell backwards. Brave man, I need your blood to help me now. Otherwise, I may die of exhaustion. Then he lay on me and began to suck my blood. Seeing this scene, Satoshi was in a daze. The next second, he was angry at the brave man. How dare you do it in front of me? As a result, he was entangled by the brave man's tail. This is my business with my master. Even if you want to repay me, you have to line up. Satoshi was angry after hearing it, but when he thought of getting the system back, it was the most important thing, so he rushed to my ear and said, brave man, you are so happy to see you play, let me join you, you don't mind. I can feel the unbroken stream of blood in my ear. I just feel that this woman's behavior is very strange. It seems to be deliberately approaching himself. But Satoshi is not satisfied with the situation. In order to speed up the progress of the plan, he decisively reached out to the bottom right of me. I didn't know that this kind of familiar grip made me frown, and I remembered that Satoshi's coordinates disappeared nearby. And in combination with the various abnormal behaviors of this woman, a terrible idea came to my mind at first. Satoshi didn't understand why the other person's eyes suddenly changed until he realized that he had just used the usual method. And he only reacted that his identity had been exposed, and he only heard the roar of a loud voice. He called for Sati to break through the wall and escape from the scene, and the noise was so loud that it scared Yug, and it was in the process of returning to the body of Yug to seek protection that I was finally released from the system. However, when I thought that Satoshi had become a woman and approached himself, I also made up my mind that I had to stay away from the epidemic. But on the way back, I happened to meet Cirrus and others to look for myself, and in the face of Cirrus's warrant for me to go with him, Dicey was directly blocked in front of everyone, saying that the Union had investigated the real situation of the underground city, and the warrant in his hand would be revoked, who told Cirrus to listen and slap him directly. What are you? How dare you do things in the blue book? Believe it or not, I will arrest you and interrogate you, and I will comfort Dicey's colleague and tell him to go to the vice president first to solve this matter, and I will beat the ass of this group of people to avenge him. Not long after a certain interrogation room, Cirrus said viciously that if it weren't for you to sneak up on me from behind, I wouldn't have been beating the ass of it now. So are you ready to die? But when I heard that I was facing the enemy and running away, I didn't have the right to shout at me, so Cirrus asked the younger brother to take it and blow it, and Yan Lian asked me to taste the taste of water, and I was so nervous that I lost all my strength, and I couldn't use the system, and I couldn't wait for the little secretary, and I guess I had to go through the hard carry, and suddenly the yug in my pocket broke. And the master, don't worry, he can't hurt you, I just sucked your essence and restored some magic, and the torture of you humans is still enough, but after going home, you have to let me suck enough, and with Yug's guarantee, I also did a good job of being tortured by Cirrus. At this time, the door of the interrogation room was pushed open by a hand. Looking at the notice of the cancellation of the arrest warrant, Cirrus not only did not stop the action, but let the younger brother go out quickly, as if he still didn't know about it now, saying that he would pick up the hammer again and shout at me, don't think that you can escape after the cancellation of the warrant. Today I have to make you understand the consequences of offending this uncle. But with the hammer heavily smashed on my back, I did not show any painful expression, but the hammer on the surface produced several cracks. And Cirrus looked at all of this with disbelief. No, why didn't this guy get hurt? Unfortunately, he picked up the hammer in his hand again, but then the door of the interrogation room was kicked directly by a kick, only to see Charlton's interrogation warrant. "I think you don't want to do it," and Cyrus, who reacted, stood still on the spot, and he didn't understand why an F-level warrior would alert the vice president of the Warrior Association to ask for people, so he immediately quibbled that he had not received the notice. And he did not forget to move out other people to testify for him, but in the face of the vice president's long-standing high-ranking aura, the people on the scene were all scared to the old man's house. But what Cyrus did not expect was that I was behind him, and Sir Charlton did not receive the cancellation notice, although I cannot care about their arrest of me. But they have to apologize to the secretary lady. I heard that the word of Deus man is bad. He never thought that this man would think for himself. And after doing all this, I grabbed Cyrus and told her that it was just to end the grudge of the secretary, and then it was my turn, and I only heard Cyrus scream. And her other arm was just fried into a 90-degree bend, and later I learned from Charlton that he came here to solve the trouble for me, and he wanted to take me to a special dinner, because the messenger of the Holy Temple will appear tonight, and the other party has the ability to clear all kinds of toxins. And soon after, Charlton first appeared in the hall of the banquet, and the one standing next to him was the holy figure of the Holy Temple, and he noticed his body. And he let the people on the scene have a crooked mind, and the holy woman stopped and said that the meaning of our church is to eliminate all the evil spirits in the world, but if you want to eliminate them, you have to dress like this to understand the evil spirits. So ignorant people, please take back your dirty eyes. And when Charlton ordered the group of people to commit suicide, the holy woman said that she had stopped him, and said that if this was to be punished, then everyone on the scene, except the vice president, no one was innocent, and Charlton was furious after hearing the reason for his poor interrogation. Only to hear the holy woman explain that your heart had already caused a huge wave, but your body did not show any reaction. And when Charlton said this, he was embarrassed and called himself a pure person, which he still has as the vice president. But I don't know why the audience voted directly to despise the look, and this time it was finally confirmed. And on the other hand, Dice led me to the purpose of attending the banquet, and from his mouth, he learned that the purification magic of the Holy Temple can not only repair the broken body, but also disperse the various distances of the human body. So the brave guild in each district wanted to cooperate with them, but they were rejected because they were not pure enough. But when they thought that they might be able to repair their fingers, they decided to try their luck. And when they just walked into the hall, they found that everyone was gathering together. For some reason, fortunately, Charlton showed up to explain the reason, and the holy woman was inviting the guild to participate in the test, and the crystal on the curtain would show the purity of those who participated. And once someone passed this test, they would be able to see the purity of those who participated. And once someone passed this test, the whole guild would have the opportunity to cooperate with the Holy Temple. And after understanding the situation, everyone was at a loss. And they didn't understand what was behind the curtain. And at this time, the 7th team captain Logan stood up and said that he would fight head-on, and he never did anything wrong, and he was not afraid of the threat of the curtain. And the holy woman showed a smile that meant a lot. But Logan, who had just entered, was still there, and not far away, there was a cat with a dress, and then the cat came up to him directly. And Logan was drooling, but with the cat's meow, the dress in his mouth also slipped at this moment, and Logan felt that he was not going to run away today. But the cat played a premonition. Everyone has participated in the test, but no one has been able to meet his requirements at this time, as the last person to participate in the test, but I didn't know what was in it until I saw what was in it. The cat came up and hugged me directly randomly, and gently asked me if I wanted to take him home, but the sound of his voice just fell. Suddenly there was a loud sound in front of him, just a bang, and the cat's whole body was shaken to fly out. It was another woman who took the initiative to get close to me. Satoru, do you think I'm going to fall for you? Look at the man who pushed himself to the ground in front of you. The cat's face is full of uncertainty. You should know that this is the first time he has been rejected by a man so far at this time. The saint also found a shocking news because the crystal showed that it was definitely 0% according to the legend. Look at the cat's poor appearance. I even knew that Satoru's hair only had one chance to use it. If you get it wrong, there is only one way to die to welcome my affirmation. On the contrary, the cat is still immersed in the mistake of being rejected, although I feel that this man is staring at his own body. But I can't feel any suspicion from his heart, and even a little bit of hostility thinking of this. The cat became angry and thought it was worse than those who coveted his body. So he made up his mind in his heart that today he must make this hateful human heart wave. First, I can only see the cat open her arms and say, "Lord Warrior, if you have prejudice against me, my embrace will definitely resolve the misunderstanding." As a result, the next second, the cat found that she had made a hole until she saw my figure appear not far away. Unwillingly, she took the initiative to attack again and emphasized that she did not have to be shy to let her hug. All the gaps will not exist facing the overwhelming oppression of the cat. I immediately came up with a solution. As long as you slide from the bottom of his body, not only can you avoid his hug, but you can also see clearly whether he has male characteristics. Of course, my action was also captured by the cat's sharp kiss. Obviously, this guy has already shed a lot of blood, but why hasn't he had any suspicions in his heart yet? I can't figure out why the cat turned into 100,000 at the same time. I also told him in shock that because I was a righteous person, I immediately turned on the speech mode in the cat's pure eyes. From the moment we were born, it was the mother's shame that made us grow up healthily, so I was grateful that even if I kept looking at you, I would never have any disdain for you. I heard that the cat's mother was stunned on the spot. I just felt that the light of this man was too dazzling. Then I saw the cat's mother saying in a lonely way that it seemed that my realm was still far from enough. You passed the test. Go out. Look at the cat's mother who was tortured in the main road. I also made sure that he was not the incarnation of Satoshi. But I still left a goodbye and did not go back to the exit, and everyone saw that I passed the test with a 0% chance that I thought it was either this guy or the test crystal was broken. But only the saint was sure that this was the one he had been looking for in the face of my proposal of whether or not to use purification magic to detoxify myself. The saint firmly agreed and ordered all the people in the hall to leave. After the hall was empty, the saint sitting on the chair tried to lie in front of him. Although I don't understand what kind of strange solution this is, I still listened to the arrangement and lie down. Maybe it's to see the doubts in my heart. The saint explains that their purification magic is called the second rain. Since the moment of becoming a saint, everyone's 7 senses and 6 desires will be drawn away in exchange for strong purification magic. But because everyone has different parts to perform magic, his purification magic is just at the top of his feet. So he can only perform it by stepping on it in the process of my purification magic. You can't have any suspicion in your heart, otherwise the magic will lose its effect. After getting my guarantee, the saint began his detoxification step. But because the chair was too small to limit his performance, he had to step on his feet on my face. Fortunately, I didn't feel anything in my heart. The only thing I could feel was the pressure coming from my face. As the saint gradually guided me, I found myself in a certain special space, but I didn't know what was going on. I saw a big foot coming straight at me. Under this great pressure, I subconsciously pushed it away, but soon I heard the sound of the saint. You don't resist my feet. This is a temporary projection of my purification magic. As long as I get you out of the water, your fingers will be able to complete the repair. It was when the saint was about to take me away from the water that countless black threads quickly tangled me up. From the saint's mouth, I learned that these were the toxins in my body, and then he would take a breath and pull me out. Who would have thought that the saint seemed to have underestimated the smoothness of the silk sock, so that I was almost pulled back into the water by the toxin. In view of this, I began to tear it up with my teeth, because only in this way could I be firmly fixed on my toes when my body was completely out of the water. In reality, the melted finger really completed the repair. Seeing this scene, I had double eyes. After all, this feeling of being reborn was too magical. Not long after, under the care of the saint, my toes soon recovered, but because the source of the toxin has not been removed, the saint said that he would put me directly into the water. As long as the toxin is forced out of the water, they will disappear completely. However, at the moment of entering the water, my body emits a golden light. The system that was used to make the toxin also began to reject the action of the saint, but with the hint of the system to talk about the target, the saint in reality was in a state of uncertainty. According to my body, how could there be a strange feeling? But he didn't put it on his mind. But he continued to manipulate the jade group and planned to completely remove the toxin. Seeing the silk thread that my body was turned into the toxin, the saint reminded him that these were all physical objects. Next, he would make a shield to help me break the toxin. Just listen to the sound of the black silk thread on my arm, and it will be instantly torn off. With the help of the shield, the body of the person I was binding to will be completely released. When I looked back, I followed the request of the saint. The toxin in the deepest direction of the mirror is interesting, but it doesn't wait for me to approach the target. The magic shield on the side suddenly produces a small crack. The shield can't support it for too long. I'm in a hurry to go to the sea of the saint. Your protective cover is in the water. I heard that the saint noticed that there was a suspicion, so I immediately warned him that if you want to solve the problem, don't create some strange ideas. However, I, who was in the water, could no longer control myself. The whole body was entangled by a large amount of silk thread again. In order to repair the shield as soon as possible, the action on the feet also accelerated, but what he didn't know was that a red mirror quietly covered his face because the shield couldn't be repaired for a long time, and a sense of suffocation swept into my mind when I woke up again and went back to the real world. As a result, I found that the saint's corner of his mouth had a smile on it. It was not difficult to tell from the other party's state that he seemed to be immersed in the illusion of repairing the shield until my shrieking echoed into my mind. He just woke up from the state of the corpse god and found out that I had returned to reality from the space of consciousness. The saint covered the crazy chest and came to a conclusion that he had developed an evil thought that led to the purification of the magic. You can think of this as a matter of the sanctity of the holy temple. The saint also told me that the toxin in your body was too strong and had to be treated for a long time. Then he stood up and told me again, I'm going back now to find a solution for you. You can come to the holy temple at any time and find me. My name is Lilia. I left the hall without turning my head. I saw the back of the saint leaving in a hurry. That is, in order to complete the solution as soon as possible, it is necessary to find Satoshi himself. The saint has just arrived at a corner, and the whole person is helplessly leaning against the wall. He doesn't understand why his 7 emotions and 6 desires have been drawn away, but why is there still a suspicion in my heart? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. The next part is coming soon.